Please rise. I pledge
allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Good morning. Moines County Board of Supervisors, May 25th, 2021. Those of you who don't remember me, my name's Tom. Okay, any changes to the tentative agenda?
Yes, under 5G, the closed session, it says to discuss possible litigation. In order to be closed session, it actually has to be imminent or pending, and in this particular case, it should say pending litigation.
Thank you, Lisa. That's why God gave us lawyers to keep an eye on us. Sometimes. Any other changes? We have an agenda. Meet with department heads and elected officials. Terry Johnson, Des Moines County Auditor.
Good morning. We're just keeping busy in the office and trying to work and not pay attention to the demolition across the street, so, but when you got a pile of dust outside your window, you automatically want to look out there, so. But no, we're just keeping busy.
Thank you, Terry. Colin Durst, IT.
I'm just keeping busy like always, nothing to report.
Doug Urban Correctional Center.
Good morning. Everything's going good at the jail. 72 is our population and was 6 out of county. I think there's 2 awaiting to go to prison, hopefully later this week, so. Nothing new besides that.
Gina Harden.
Good morning. We're working on changing over our alerting system for the public. The state of Iowa has a new vendor, so we're in the process of changing over our website and the whole system, getting together some marketing materials to get people to sign up for the new program. It's our means of alerting people. The Alert Iowa system right now, people can sign up for what type of messages they'd like to receive, weather related, specific to a city. And they can also include medical information as part of that. So the state is switching over to a new vendor, so we have to have everybody basically re-sign up. They've got all the landlines already loaded into the system, but if you want a lot of people don't have landlines anymore. So we need to get people to sign up for cell phone coverage and etc. So I'll have more information on that soon.
So those of us who are already signed up for cell phone coverage would need to read.
Yes, there's no easy way to transfer people, plus there's a lot more options to sign up for under this system. You can customize it and you set up your own account with this, versus before, once you sign up, you're pretty well stuck unless you unsubscribe from everything.
Okay.
So we're gonna have, really just encourage people all to re-sign up. Yeah, so I'll have more information soon. The changeover is gonna take place no later than June 30. So a little over a month, we'll be doing the changeover.
Thank you, Gina. Chris Lee, Conservation.
Good morning. Just gearing up for the busy weekend. Our campgrounds are full at Big Hollow and the Fort Pumping Station. We do still have a few sites available down at Walter Recreation area, so we mostly camp down there. Otherwise, there are other campsites available. I hear Geode is full, so that's exciting. And we have rescheduled our Fill the Lake Flotilla and Big Hollow Open House events for not this coming weekend, but next weekend, June 5th. And that's going to coincide with a lot of other events that were going on. So the Optimist Club is hosting a kids fishing derby at 9 o'clock in the morning up at Big Hollow. That's also National Trails Day, so we're hosting a guided trail hike at Big Hollow at 10. We'll have the open house going on throughout the day from about 9 till 2 o'clock when that flotilla event starts. So anybody that's got a canoe or kayak, come out and float the lake. We'll take a drone picture. Hopefully the weather holds out better than it did last weekend, and we can get this event done. I know there's a lot of folks pretty excited about it. So, looking forward to that. Staying real busy. So, and we got a tour coming up on Thursday. You guys can see just how crazy these campgrounds really are over Memorial Day weekend.
Thanks for changing that to 4:30, that gives me a chance to get there.
Yeah, you bet.
I see rain forecast for Thursday. I trust you'll have that taken care of sometime in the next couple of days.
I put in my request.
Change the forecast? Yes,
Put in my
please.
request, yeah. See what we can do.
Thank you, Chris.
You bet.
Sarah Doty, auditor, first deputy, payroll.
Keeping plenty busy. I'm doing enrollment changes right now, so working on those and staying busy.
Okay, thank you. Jared Glasser, land use.
Morning. We don't have anything on the agenda today, but there will be a zoning commission meeting at the regional planning office tomorrow, Wednesday evening. We have a preliminary plat for a 6-lot subdivision on Beaverdale Road for discussion. Unfortunate timing, we sent out the notices to the newspaper and neighboring property owners early last week, and then came to find out on Friday from BNSF that they are closing the Gear Avenue crossing for some track replacement all throughout this week. So that primary means of accessing our office will unfortunately not be available for that meeting. And then doubly inconvenient for that because the subdivision being on Beaverdale Road north of Flint Bottom. Of course, Flint Bottom is closed through there as well. So it's one of those things where it's just not the best timing because that's obviously the most direct means of accessing our office from where that's located. So unfortunately, the way this ended up being, since we were not aware of that Gear Avenue closure before we scheduled that meeting, just wanted to put out an announcement there that if anybody was interested in attending that meeting, unfortunately the only real option is through Flint Bottom off of 61. So I'll have to make the best of it there.
You're just full of good news.
And of course, they're working on 61 too, but at least it's actually going through. You
I
can
was gonna say, are they still open there? Because they're doing a lot of work there too.
I know, they got it down to 2 lanes on the section just north of Sunnyside. So
I had a meeting out at the college this morning, our chairperson went that way and had to turn around, he called in and said, I'm gonna be late.
Thank you, Jared. Natalie Stepner, Des Moines County Recorder.
Good morning, just business as usual, things are going well in the recorder's office.
Good. Sure. Kevin Glendenning.
Good morning. Things are going really well at the sheriff's office as well. Nothing major to report.
Lisa Schaefer, Des Moines County Attorney.
We are still playing COVID catch up with our jury trials. I think we did 3 or 4 already this month. There's another one set to begin tomorrow. The 2 magic dates we're looking at as far as needing to get everything done, all previous demands for speedy trial before February 1st have to be tried by July 31st, so that's kind of one of those dates that we're being very mindful of. I think for the most part, we've cleared out a bunch of those. There are just a handful of cases that we knew a year ago were going to go to trial. It was just a question of when. And then the other date is January 31st of '22. That's for those who had waived speedy trial prior to February 1st when we resumed trials. We had an entire year from that date. So those are the 2 dates we're being mindful of. At this point, we've been doing trials for 3 months now, and we have yet to get to a trial that's on the waiver list. So that's actually the one we're getting more and more concerned about, because as you're aware, we now have all the new cases that have come in, and if they have speedy trials, their regular numbers are in place. We have 90 days, and we always have a list of anywhere from 15 to 20 of those every month. So we're starting to get a little bit concerned that we may not get to those waiver cases in a timely manner. So we're gonna try to figure out how we can best approach those. Did interviews for a legal intern last week. We're hoping to have extend an offer to one of the candidates and have them starting in a couple of weeks after they complete their course. As I mentioned the last time I was here, which kind of with you, Tom, it seems like forever since I've been here, but they have to take a special class in order to be quasi-certified by the state to actually handle cases. They can't sign off on legal documents or anything like that, but they can appear in court on behalf of the state, so long as they're under the supervision of a licensed attorney, which we have several of those in our office. And finally, I want to announce that the Des Moines County Attorney's Office, as well as the Sheriff's Office, has agreed to join the Burlington Police Department in sponsoring a national night out. There'll be more information forthcoming once we all figure out what exactly it is we're doing, except for all of the things we volunteered Kevin for on Friday in absentia. But it will be on August 3rd of this year. Our anticipation is that it will be on the riverfront, and rather than it just being a law enforcement themed celebration, we're actually including all first responders. Fire department has agreed to be there. They're participating in the planning. The sheriff's office. So far, the only ones we haven't heard from have been the West Burlington Police Department and the West Burlington Fire Department. But other than that, we're hoping it's going to be a fairly big deal and get lots of people. And we'll see what Kevin has planned after all his committees meet.
Big plans.
But I just wanted to put a kind of a save the date for August 3rd. We are anticipating probably early evening, 6 to 9. The plan is to have free food, all of the first responders there with their equipment and information. I know Gina's participating as well. So it should be a good time and a good informational and educational night for everyone to kind of learn what our various first responders actually do and how we all work together. So that's all I have.
I've got a question for you on on those that waive the speedy trial. Are they in jail or are they?
Some of them. Generally speaking, if you're in jail, you will demand speedy trial because you obviously want to limit your length of incarceration as much as possible. However, if you have a particularly complicated case, your attorney may suggest that you waive speedy trial even though you're sitting in jail. Usually our homicides, our murder defendants generally will waive speedy trial. 90 days seems like a long time until you're actually preparing for trial, and it flies by. So I would say we maybe have anywhere from a half a dozen to a dozen of those waivers that are sitting in jail. That they do have the opportunity to redemand. And if they do that, then they will get a new 90 days starting from the day they file that redemand. But the vast majority of them are on some form of pretrial release or they're out on bond.
Question, what if, let's say one of your clients, your customers, that's on bail and is waived speedy trial, so let's say this particular customer gets in trouble again.
That never happens.
I'm pretty sure it hasn't, but a year's a long time. Anyway, so what does that push his waiver, or is that just a separate case?
It's a separate case. We have one gentleman who had a pending felony, I believe it was June of 19. And he bonded out, and then by January of 2020 had gotten in trouble again. And because of COVID, we decided to grant him pretrial release. And then by June, he was working on felony number 3. And then that one, by then, he was not eligible for pretrial release and no one else was gonna bond him out. So he was sitting on that case since June of last year and not getting any credit for the other 2 cases. So, yeah, that happens sometimes. Usually what we've been trying to do, this isn't just a COVID protocol, if we have somebody who has multiple cases that are pending, we generally, when we send out a plea offer, it's gonna try to be a comprehensive and consider everything. Get it all done at once. That way it's just an efficient use of everyone's time. But yeah, we have had a handful of those that, idle hands and all of that. So, yeah, they just, every couple of weeks, they showed up. I know our misdemeanor attorney has one guy who's got, granted, they're all misdemeanors, but I'm gonna say 18 or 19 pending misdemeanor cases. Because we
Slow
were
burner.
keeping them in the jail to keep those numbers low, and so he just had time to
Wow.
do what he do and kept getting arrested for it.
Part of this falls on you, Kevin.
I think 33 minutes is the record from exit to re-entry.
Holy.
Half an hour, I can't take it. I gotta do something.
We didn't even have to wash the laundry, we just.
And then he has some that commit new offenses while in the jail, so they don't even get out before they so.
He wouldn't have had time to get home, he would have had to stop on the way home.
I don't even know if you can get to McDonald's.
Oh.
Thank you.
shoot.
Trent, I assume you're here for an agenda item.
Yes.
Angie Pond, safety.
Good morning. Really don't have anything to add. We're rolling along.
Becky, I see the county engineers has snuck out.
She promised she'd be short today.
I am.
Since you were here, what's going on?
Just moving ahead with projects, even with the rain, so.
Okay, okay.
Could we have her give a tutorial
That's
to
it?
Brian to how this can be done?
He won't listen.
You'll
We've
never
tried.
receive it.
You can't teach him anything.
He makes us listen, yes.
There's a couple of interesting stories concerning that very topic that I'll tell you sometime. But probably aren't suitable for this occasion. Janelle Nowden Longquist, Des Moines County Treasurer.
Good morning. We're keeping busy. We're working on the tax sale and preparing the publication list for next week. So, and motor vehicle continues to be busy as well, but business as usual.
Reminds me, I've got to come down to see you after the meeting.
Okay.
For my car.
For the car.
Me too. Thanks, Janelle. Rodney Gleason, Maintenance.
Good morning. We've got several different projects going on. We've got some coming up in June. You may want to write on your calendar. June 7th, they're supposed to start on the alley in the back. So I haven't spoke with them probably in a week or so. I don't know with all the rain if their schedules got pushed back or not, but last I talked to them, they were planning on starting the alley in June 7th. So they should be able to keep one side open. I think they're going to try and do it in halves, so at least at one point, should still be able to get in and out, so we'll have to work with transport and all that on how we're gonna do that. So I'll know a little bit closer to time, but I wanted to throw that date out so everybody was aware of that. Also June 14th to 18th, the state's contractor will be here to put the audio visual stuff in the courtroom down on first floor in Judge Bailey's courtroom. We've got it all painted, ceiling, carpet. We have a few things we've got to finish up there, but for the most part, we're ready for them. And then that courtroom will be ready with all the new audio visual stuff. Also, the generator out of the jail, they're scheduled to start next Tuesday. So that's coming up too, pretty quick. So we're still a little busy, got a lot of stuff going on, so really appreciate everybody's patience and understanding, getting to everything. So I know everybody's got a lot of different little things here and there, so we're working on it and we'll get to it. So appreciate everybody's patience.
You got the pad poured for it then?
Not yet, so
It's
that's
gonna
what
be your
they're
next
gonna start
Tuesday?
working on. Yeah.
You know how to do cement work?
Yeah.
Okay.
We'll postpone that for a little bit until he's busy. Thank you, that's all I have.
Thanks, Rodney. Krista Pogomel, Public Health.
Good morning. Our rolling 7-day case count for positivity for COVID has gone down this week. We're down to 4%. So we've only had 22 cases in the last 7 days. So those numbers are trending the right direction. We've given 33,900 doses of COVID vaccine in our county and completely vaccinated 16,100. We are continuing on with the COVID mobile. We were in Middletown yesterday, and today we'll be at Grace United Church. And then Thursday, we'll be back at the Farmers Market. So we're trying to get out as often as possible to make those vaccines accessible, and I'm really reminding everyone that we do have Johnson & Johnson as well as the Pfizer that we're giving at those mobile clinics. The Board of Health met last week, and they've been working on a Board of Health website, wanting to get a website put up so they can, for additional information out to the community, as well as like if they have things as far as like letters or proclamations that they want to put out there. So they're working on that, and they've got a couple of bids that they've seen and are looking at possibly accepting one of those.
Thank you, Krista. Anybody online? Okay. Correspondence.
The only correspondence I got was from Carter, and it's too long to read.
I got that same correspondence. Put me to sleep.
Proceed to discussion and vote. We have payroll claims reimbursement correction. My understanding was approved at $314.02 and has been corrected to $270.72. Is that correct?
Yes.
Okay. So we have a correction from $314.02 to $270.72, and then looks like the county saved $44. $43.
Move approve.
Second.
Terry?
Jim Carrey?
Yes.
Shane McCampbell?
Yes.
Tom Broker?
Yes.
See what happens when you're gone.
We had a party. And Feinhardt ordered pizza. We were dancing and stuff.
You have to watch the video.
I'm waiting gas on it.
We're waiting gas lines.
Appointment of a township trustee for the Huron Township. To the Moines County Board of Supervisors, I am requesting your approval to be appointed to complete the remainder of a 4-year term expiring on December 31st, 2024 for the Huron Township trustee, Lee Robertson, 4478 260th Oakville, Iowa.
Move to accept the appointment?
Second.
Terry?
Shane McCampbell?
Yes.
Jim Carrey?
Yes.
Tom Broker?
Yes. Very public thank you to Mr. Robertson. That is
Yes, it's a sad occasion of why he's filling that position because of the passing of Sandy Hedges. Sandy Hedges was elected to the town. He's been on he's been a township clerk for years.
okay.
And this last year, he switched and his son ran for the clerk position and Sandy ran for the trustee position. And then sadly he passed away and Lee stepped away from being a township trustee, but he came in and he said now he's back in it again, so.
We have a Class C liquor license for the Hy-Vee Chesmore wedding, born on the Ridge on June 3rd, 2021.
Move to approve. Everything's in order.
Second.
Terry?
Jim Carrey?
Yes.
Shane McCampbell?
Already Glendenning's. Oh, I mean, yes.
Tom Broker?
Yes. Liquor license for Hy-Vee Wells wedding, born on the Ridge, June 10th, 2021.
Move to approve.
Second.
Terry?
Shane McCampbell?
Yes.
Jim Carrey?
Yes.
Tom Broker?
Yes.
Good to see these weddings getting back in. My grandson postponed his for a year and a half. Getting married August the 21st, no matter what, so.
We have personnel actions. We have one for the Correctional Center, Kendra Whalen, an assistant cook. a new hire at $8.84 an hour.
Move to approve.
Second?
Terry?
Shane McCampbell,
Yes.
Jim Carrey,
Yes.
Tom Broker.
Yes. We have two personnel actions for conservation. We have Jessica Johnson, seasonal day hire, naturalist assistant. Rate of $13 an hour. And we have Cora Ransford, seasonal day hire, naturalist assistant, at $10 an hour.
Move to approve both of them?
Second.
Terry?
Jim Carrey,
Yes.
Shane McCampbell,
Yes.
Tom Broker.
Yes. We have minutes for the regular meeting of May 18th, 2021.
Move to approve?
Second.
Terry?
Jim Carrey,
Yes.
Shane McCampbell,
Yes.
Tom Broker.
Abstain. We have a closed session to discuss pending litigation for Iowa Code Section 21.5, Paragraph 1, Paragraph E.
See.
We should retire to the other room if we can get a motion. We'll go into closed session.
So moved.
Second?
Terry?
Shane McCampbell,
Yes.
Jim Carrey,
Yes.
Tom Broker.
Yes. Terry?
Jim Carrey,
Yes.
Shane McCampbell,
Yes.
Tom Broker.
Yes. Closed session's over, we discussed pending litigation, and good time was had by all.
Easy for you to say.
Yeah. Other business, discuss opening front lobby. I think there's been some discussion about that. I spoke to Terry, I don't have any problem with it at all.
I think I sent you an email back that I thought we should follow CDC guidelines on that and go ahead and open it up, didn't I?
Yep, that's what you said, so.
I don't
Did you
have
get
a
my
problem.
long email that I sent back to you?
Oh, yes, I did.
With the brown thumbs up?
No, yeah. Yep.
Brevity. Nothing wrong with that.
You know, that
what's-
that is kind of racist on that. They give a brown thumb and all I get's a yellow thumb or brown. I don't have a white thumb on.
We're not going there.
Jimmy opened the door, I think we ought to discuss it.
I'm closing it.
Oh! Look at Gina's face.
So if it's okay with you guys, Rodney, you got any comments or anything?
No, just that, had a lot of people asking about it. I know they changed some of the guidelines, so it was just something I brought to Terry to see.
Yeah, we'll have to
They
let.
bring it up for some discussion, see what you guys thought, if you guys just wanna go ahead and open the front doors back up.
I don't have a problem with that. I'm sure we've got and I haven't come in that way, there's a little paper sign that said CDC, recommends the use of masks by those unvaccinated or unvaccinated adults or something to that effect.
Yeah, I mean, we can put up a
Yeah,
sign.
I think we discussed we could still set a little table down the basement and by the front door that still has mask on it, just in case somebody wants to wear one.
That was gonna be the next question, we're still gonna supply the mask in both places, 'cause,
Are we going through quite a few?
yeah, it kinda depends. I know around tax time, they were flying off the table, but, now with the changes, there may not be as many, they went really fast, and like I say, around tax time, but then a lot of people is used to having them everywhere, so there had quite a few that was doing it.
I am for still
But then
keeping some masks
the
around.
longer you went, more people didn't wanna have them, and now with them changing it, I just see a lot of people not
The
coming in.
only mask I wore for the last 2.5 weeks was when I was on a plane or an airport. I certainly wasn't the only one. They're just,
So I think the court said that they've changed theirs as well, haven't they? If they've
Yeah,
been
on,
vaccinated.
I believe it was May 17th or whatever that Friday was. The Supreme Court Justice did issue an order. So people still are required to wear a mask during court proceedings if they are not vaccinated. I know in the trial last week, I would say we probably had half of the jurors who had to continue to wear a mask because they've not been fully vaccinated. The court does have masks and or shields to provide witnesses or jurors or whoever else may come in the courtroom. We're still socially distancing everyone, so it's not as though we have a lot of random gawkers who come into the courtroom. But there is a mask requirement, and I know the courts provide masks to those who do not have them.
I don't care if you want to put masks there for a week or two and see how. I don't suspect so far I've been to Hy-Vee and was virtually anybody. And last time I was at Lowe's,
I went Saturday morning, Hy-Vee, had a mask on, got groceries, I spent about 2 hours in there hunting stuff. And I'll bet.
You must not be much of a shopper.
No,
That's not a can of pork and beans. They tried to give me 3 months in jail.
Well, I could not find stuff, I was up and down every aisle, I walked by Pop-Tarts about 5 times.
They move that every once in a while just to catch people.
You better just order online.
But getting to what, I'll bet there wasn't, only 10% of the people in there had masks on. The rest of them were all just running around. The ones that some of them did have them on, had them down here under their chin, and
So we're good? We're gonna open the front door now?
Sounds like it.
When do we officially wanna do that?
Whatever works best for
We'll
Rodney.
have to let the security guards know so that
Yeah.
they're aware of
So,
that.
Maybe I'll just talk to them today and we'll plan on tomorrow morning.
Okay.
That'll work.
That'll work.
That'll give me some time to talk to them and make some signs and get some arrangements made.
Thanks, Rodney.
All right.
Okay. Future agenda items.
I have none.
Committee reports.
I had a public health, but Chris kind of went over it on that webpage, you know, they're studying the webpage out and trying to get one that's gonna be pretty accurate and easy to navigate, so. And then I had a fair board meeting this morning, and everything's going fine, and getting ready, gearing up, and getting ready for the fair this year, so that's all I've got.
At a CEO meeting, we're discussing letting us vote on some boards, which there's some boards that we don't have votes on. That was the only thing that came up on that. The other one was Workforce Development Board. Unemployment's holding right around 6-ish% still, so nothing really major.
I sort of attended a Zoom meeting for the Mental Health and Disability Services. We approved bills. Of course, I was on Zoom, and that was before my son's dog got there, and the little 4-year-old girl decided she's afraid of him, and here comes a little 2-year-old boy, and he's not afraid of anything, and he's noisy. So I just muted myself, and I didn't catch the last discussion. But that was all I had. Public input. Anybody from the public would like to address the board? You can email the board of supervisors at board@dmcounty.com, that's BOARD@dmcounty.com, or call 319-753-8203, extension 4. That's 319-753-8203, extension 4. We'll give you 2 minutes to initiate that call or that email. And while we wait, does anybody in the room have any comments? They don't have to be pertinent to anything. I do.
How was your trip to Florida?
It's good. We, I have an arthritic right knee. I was carrying one end of the couch out of my son's house in Tennessee, and there's porch there. So my wife's directing traffic, so she gets me at an angle, so I have to step off with my left foot, put all the weight on my right knee as I'm coming down. That was a little exciting. But anyway, we got everything loaded and moved to Miami, and I brought a little discipline into my grandchildren's lives. We had a good time.
What did discipline look like, Tommy?
Well, maybe not a lot of discipline. But I don't think I made them any worse.
I'll talk to Mrs. Broker next time I see her, get a confirmation, brother.
But the weather was nice down there. I saw it was wet up there. Of course, it rains down there just maybe a little bit every day. Highs in the low to mid 80s.
Did you, since you drove through Tennessee, did you notice that they're a lot stricter about the COVID guidelines than they are here or in Florida? Well, I sure did.
I did. Well, we stayed pretty much on the interstate about the time of that gas shortage, so we filled up in Tennessee. When we left Tennessee, we stopped for gas in North Carolina, and they were out. They had bags over the gas pumps. Then I told them we didn't want to get below half the tank, so when we got into so then we had enough, we'd go to South Carolina. So the first gas station we pulled up to, we thought we'd hit gas, and we pulled up to the tank, and all of a sudden they flashed up. Pumps are closed. So then we found another one close by that had enough fuel in it, and just stopped and got gas fairly regularly. But no, I didn't. take it back, the hotel we stayed at, had a mask policy when you were in and out of there. That was the only time when you went, so. Any other public input? We are adjourned. In 5 minutes, we will have a work session to discuss the American Rescue Plan. You are all welcome to stay and contribute.
so we have to get him going.
Okay.
Remember to suspend.
Gotta discuss the American Rescue Plan. I suspect most of you are familiar with the broad strokes of this. The federal government's giving away a bunch of money anyway, and it's gonna give $65 billion to counties. It's gonna give I believe $612 million to Iowa counties. It's gonna give $7.5 million to Moines County. And Janelle's already got the first half of it, about $3.75, $3.8 million.
Yeah, 3.8, 64.
And when they came about, they just had some rough ideas what you could spend this money on. So then they came out and they've got the final interim rule that for comments. The interim final rule comments. And then NACO's looked at it, the National Association of Counties, and set out a little bit of guidance, and it's still not completely clear what we can use it for. I'm almost positive we can't use it for roads and bridges and that sort of thing. If you could show them that the COVID shortage in receipts or revenues cost a project, you might have an argument. The one that the board's talked about is a new public health facility, and I actually believe that that's
I think that should be our number one priority.
team.
Preach.
I agree. Let me find a page. I'll have it here in a minute.
Is that the one where it says support public health expenditures?
Yeah, for the public health emergency, and then anyway, and it says, you know, what they envision this, they said they also include capital investments in public facilities to meet pandemic operational needs, such as physical plant improvements to public health, to public hospitals or health clinics, or adaptations in public buildings to implement COVID-19 mitigation tactics. I think that we've got a pretty easy argument to make there. The building we made, there's no social distancing, there's no room for a vaccination clinic, there's no drive-through vaccination clinic. Speak nothing of being 90 years old with one bathroom, and it's been on the county's radar for some time, so I'm hopeful about that.
The building's older than you, Tom.
Well, not by much, but a little. Thank you for that.
You're welcome.
And I did, I took the liberty of sending a question to the National Association of Counties. They've got they will accept questions. So I asked them, if you spend the money on something you aren't supposed to spend it on, you have to pay them back. And I understand, but I asked them if we could get guidance, if we could ask questions, you know, and say, well, we're thinking about spending on this, and then get a, you know, a thumbs up or a thumbs down, rather than spend it and they go, and say thumbs down, so we're out X number of dollars. So I have not got an answer to that, but I got an email that said, we have received your question, and we will get back to you. So what that means, I don't know. It talks about mental health and some, you know, implementing some of that. My problem with some of these things, it also talks about premium pay. You can have premium pay for essential workers. They can be county essential workers, they can be grocery store, they can be the whole county. A great deal of the county was essential workers. I personally am not interested in sitting here and saying, well, this group's eligible, this group isn't eligible, and that group isn't eligible, and deciding where to send a few $100 checks to a few 10 or 20,000 people. So, but that's one of the accepted, they've got we will figure out what the shortage of revenues. It looks to me like the revenues, you know, we were short in fiscal 20 because they postponed the tax sale and tax revenues. Janelle can speak that more, but we will figure out what we were short on revenue, and then I think they've got it divided up what your revenue should have been December 31st, 2020, 2021, 22, and 23. And you give a projection, and they give you a number, I believe 4.1%, unless you can prove you have a different one of what your revenue growth should have been. So there might be an opportunity there. The infrastructure they talk about is broadband, sewer, and water. And with the exception of conservation's septic system, I don't know that we have anything that fits that. And broadband, no, water, I don't know.
Hey
That's
Tom, what about the Stars Cave internet line out there that is, I mean, wouldn't that, I've kind of talked a little bit about my ICAT group about this a little bit, about whether that would count, but that cost to basically run that internet line out to Stars Cave?
That's, that hadn't even occurred to me, and I heard you mention that, Chris mentioned that. That is that's very possibly.
Because their internet out there is very, we'll say very, very poor, yes.
That's a good thought.
I think the last time I got cost and quotes, it ranged from like maybe 12 to 18,000 to run, to basically dig and run that line out to from the road to Stars Cave.
Was it 20 grand for that?
Roughly. I got, I think 3 or 4 different quotes, but yeah, they vary by quite a bit.
That's good. That'd be, what I'm hoping is that there is a place that we can, because you'll have to give some rationale, like, you know, how it was affected by COVID, or, you know, this falls under these categories. But if we can do that, and if we can kill them with questions and saying, does this work or does that work? And they go, you know, say yes or no, rather than, I don't want to follow something too far. And I certainly don't want to get on the hook and say we're going to do something, and then have them review it and say, yeah, you're paying for that on your own, and you owe us whatever you're going to spend on it. So.
Is this 65 billion, does that include the schools and that too? Or is
No, that
make
just
it their
goes
own money?
directly to counties. Directly to counties.
Cities are also getting
The
some.
cities, Burlington's getting $3.5 million. West Burlington's getting $500,000. I'm sure Mediapolis and Danville and Middletown, all the incorporated cities, are getting so much per capita. And I'm sure the schools are getting money. Like, that's all part of that. There's a lot, it's part of where they recently sent, was it $1,400 checks to everybody in the family. Well, I don't think they sent to everybody in the family, but they sent, I don't know how they did it, but, because I know a couple people that said they had 3 or 4 children, and they got checks for the man, the wife, and all the children. But and some of these things, you look at it, it says, you know, they talk about providing services. The problem with providing services with one-time money is that you run out of that money in a couple of years. And so this is what we've tried to do with mental health services, is not start something and then 2 or 3 years later, people will become accustomed to that and say, you know, we can't provide that anymore. If you can, if there's costs of training, or maybe some sort of remodel to provide a new service, I think you can do that. And there's been discussion at the region level, you know, with all 8 counties, that if we pooled some of each county, we do everything per capita. If we pooled some of that money, we might be able to create a service or 2. But we'll have to take a look at that. And they talk about, you know, measures, I think, for mental health and for COVID affecting jails. Not sure. It's about 150 pages long. I scrolled through it and got some of the high points. And this is, and it's taking comments now, so
And the broadband, isn't the state gonna be trying to?
well, and that's, I know
do
the
some
state
of that?
passed something, but I don't know what that entails. I truly don't, how this affects or works with that, or works against it, or with it.
I don't know what we've been talking about it in our group a little bit, but
Yeah.
I don't know exactly what all of it entails.
I don't know. Is there any use of that money? Did anybody here, I know we talked about it a couple of times, and we talked about the one we were pretty sure we could use it for was public health. And it looks, as I read this, of course, we're gonna stick our neck out. Lisa's gonna look at it too. Tell me what it says. But it seems pretty clear to me that a public health facility would be an acceptable expenditure, and that would be a good deal for Des Moines County. We could have a facility that would last another 90 years.
Which is neat. And hopefully not on the hill.
Be one that you
Yeah.
could have parking places, you could have 2 bathrooms, you could have an exam room,
Yeah, and it's,
and.
Be able to do
I
a
mean,
drive-through
they're-
clinic.
you know, a lot of their clientele
Yeah.
is elderly, and it's on a hill, or their reason they're going to public health is they have a disability or something like that, and it's one of the most difficult spots to get to in the whole city. You know, it's or even if you're parking there, you're parking at an angle, then you're trying not to slide down the hill when you get out of your car. So, yeah,
Also, one of the issues we had with the whole pandemic was the PPE distribution.
Huh.
We partnered with a local company to have the National Guard and the state bring our PPE in. We unloaded their place, they would bring it around back, we'd load it into pickups, I'd have my volunteers distribute it. Still have a bunch of PPE stored out at a hospital facility. Here in the next couple weeks, I'm gonna have 200 and some cases of PPE come in that I'm gonna have to distribute out to nursing homes, fire department, public health, etc. So I mean, if that would help with the public health building, selling that idea.
yeah. What you,
It's been a real pain in the behind.
yeah, because we're gonna want a list of rationales, reasons, you know, that,
Now, because of COVID, we did a lot of stuff online and by phone. And by phone, I'm getting to our phone system. You know, if there could be a legit reason to replace our phone system, because that's something that we know we're gonna have to down the line, and that's a very expensive process to go through, but, you know, I don't know if something like that would even be.
I don't know, that's, you guys have better ideas than I do, that's something to look at.
I'm
They got-
sure everybody here just loves our phone system.
Well, and everybody's had expenses, but that CARES Act, we got between $700,000 and $800,000 for that if you had different departments. And we didn't really lose much revenue, because the revenue that was late, we ended up getting. And I don't think our sales tax or road use tax has gone down significantly at all. I'm sure it hurts the city a little bit, that hotel motel tax, I would guess, but that doesn't affect us. So I think we were made whole by the $700,000 or $800,000. Now we've got $7 or $8 million.
So do they give us the money and you either use it or lose it?
I don't know, well, yeah, it has to be spent. Yeah.
We have to have projects determined by December the 31st of 2024, and then we have to actually use that money by December 31st of 2026. So we have to have those projects in place and ready to go by December 31st of 2024.
Yeah.
So what's this 3.8 million doing? They're just sitting somewhere? Can you invest it or not?
Drawing 0.2% interest or something.
Just a tip more.
Then we get the second half. You're supposed to get it 12 months later, so next May, approximately, we'll get a check for the second half. And it has to be, we have plenty of time to spend it and figure it out. It'll be easier when the guidance gets a little clearer. It'll make it a lot easier if they have somebody that can answer our questions, so that we don't spend a whole lot of time worried about a phone system, than to know that they're gonna go, nope.
Well, even if we had that list so that we knew what to, this is what we're thinking about,
Yeah.
is it on the list of what we can use it for?
Yeah.
And I asked Rodney the other day about the radio tower that the sheriff uses, the repeater tower on Golf Course Road, because I didn't know what kind of repairs might be needed on it and stuff, You just think of all of those things.
Yeah. Anyway, so, any other thoughts out there?
I guess the only thing I'd like to have on the radar would be with the changing of how the regions are funded in mental health. And you would obviously have a much better handle on this, or to come, how that money gets figured out. But some of the core services that may not be funded anymore.
But I know what you're talking about, jail diversion.
I am, the community transition coordinator, and that would be an important service to me, if that would qualify under that. And that would be a service, I know we hate to fund something that may not be there in the future, but it's already established, and I think it's successful.
And I do, and I've sent some number of emails and texts about that, and to apparently no avail. But yeah, that's not a core service, and it works. I don't know whether it works for every county, but it works for this 8 counties, and I know it works. I've spoken to Doug, that works well here, and it's evidently it's reduced. You help you to release, the people that are affected a little quicker, and reduce recidivism in that particular population. And to be quite honest, when we started jail diversion, we started at Lee County. And that's been, it was before it was, we were one of the early adopters of that, and that's probably been 2014. It's been several years ago when Lee County and Des Moines County just decided to start a jail diversion. And it was funded half up by Des Moines County and half up by Lee County. I'm not sure how Lee County did it, but the way Des Moines County funded it, this Dwayne Worthy was there then, he was big, the jail put up half the money, and mental health put up half the money. I don't know whether, I'm sure we can for a year, whether we'll be continued to be able to fund jail diversion through the mental health levy. But if it's saving us money and cutting back on, jail expenses, I would think that is something we could fund in maybe another way.
Yeah.
Maybe use some of this money to make that easier, or to set something up.
To be quite honest, if it doesn't fall within the mental health funding, to be determined, it would be something that I would love to see the board for us to find a way to fund it, because I think it's a positive program. It keeps people being successful on the outside of jail instead of sitting inside of jail.
Was that 18 charges in 30 days for somebody? We've got a recidivism problem. That needs to be addressed, my friend, that's for sure. Good Lord.
Well, it means a lot that you support it like that, and Doug supports it like that. Have you noticed anything like that, Lisa? Or does that affect your office that you really see once they get into jail with the jail diversion?
Only when they try to send people to a treatment program where I fully intend to send them to prison, it seems like a waste of resources, but we're addressing those issues. I've just had people come in and say, oh, well, we've gotten so-and-so approved for this program, and I'm like, okay, well, he's facing a forcible felony, which means he goes to prison, there's no other option. It seems like sometimes time gets wasted.
I think we talked about that in our most recent meeting, is just building up that communication so that the focus can be on the people where we can have some success. And even those that, forcible felonies would have the mandatory minimum, but the other, say, a Class D felony, they're gonna be back in our community in months probably. So doing what we can to help them improve is the goal.
No, we've talked about that here, that I think that that jail diversion is a good deal, and I know after, once we talked about not having it, heard from Doug, and so it is our hope that it can continue to be funded through the mental health that are going to soon to be furnished by the state, but we'll see about that. And if it's not, I fully intend to push on the legislature and DHS to change their core requirements, or give us a little leeway to use what works down here, because every county has different problems and different resources. Nothing's the same. Under Chris, you had your hand up.
Yeah, I was just gonna say, we talked about this shop facility we need to build up in Big Hollow to, because my staff, we can't socially distance with the facility that we have. So that's one of the considerations there. I don't know if that falls under this, but if there's a way to figure that. And then we've talked about moving me and Jeff out of our office up there to Big Hollow, either in this facility or into that house when our park ranger retires or our operations supervisor retires here in 2.5 years, 2 years or something. And then, so that would vacate our office, and our thinking was, talking to Gina, moving emergency management onto there, and maybe help with some of her storage issues, and maybe, free some space up in the sheriff's office, get them into better digs, doing that, if that's something that fits into this, certainly something to talk about. But that's priority number one for our board at this juncture.
And I
getting that figured out.
I looked a little at that, and it's not entirely clear to me. In other, if it was something that you had a plan, but your revenues didn't get the revenues you thought you were gonna get, then I think it becomes a little easier for that. And it talks about tourism and that sort of stuff, especially in regards to tribal lands, because but I know apparently in tribes, Sioux tribes or something like that, can't tax people, so they have casinos and they have, other tribal industries. So it looks to me like they will be a little more gentle with those particular entities.
Right.
But, yeah, and I've thought along those same lines. If there's something to be available, if something's to be available, then that certainly be in the mix.
Well, on the grounds of repurposing, if you find a new health department location, what to do with the health department over there. Rodney and I were kind of throwing stuff around, or I kind of threw it at Rodney anyway, about maybe we could move juvenile over there to use that, and that would free up the basement.
Oh, for the court system,
Yep.
Okay.
And then that would free up what's in the basement, so that, I'm being selfish, for elections, so that we have more room for all of our equipment and our location for our absentee board, so that they can socially distance. We were all in here, but I think we had 5 sets in here. And with our plastic screens and everything, we could have used more room, but we had everybody all separated in here, but crammed. But there's just the whole repurposing, once you free up one space, what do you do with it, and continue on.
I don't think there was anything that we planned on as capital expenses that we were unable to afford, since we do that through line of credit anyway. So, any of you have anything that was approved that wasn't able to be purchased? I don't think we had any of that.
We had reduced revenue in some of our line items, but as a whole, we met our revenue goals. it was just our paper services, they suffered because we weren't doing, the amount of papers, road removals and evictions and whatnot, because they restricted those, but as a whole, we met all our revenue, so I don't know if it's line item by line item or not, but we didn't suffer anything as far as what we weren't able to purchase.
Is that no eviction notice or whatever is that still in effect? or-
No, they're open.
Are they okay?
Yeah.
I knew that was, it had a.
Is it the moratorium on?
Yeah,
on
one moratorium,
evictions?
yeah.
That is done?
Yeah. When did that end? Fairly recently, or?
No, I believe it's been a couple months, we're doing sheriff's sales again, and, I don't know the exact date. I couldn't get it.
Okay.
Well, there's the Iowa Finance Authority, this was in my REC newspaper, but they have aid available for past due rent and utility bills for anybody that might have anything after March of last year. Cause you know, you think of everybody that, you know, had their own lost revenue and everything, but.
Well, we don't have anything specific. Anybody's got any more comments, I encourage you all to, here's what the counties can do for it. Support public health response, fund COVID-19 mitigation efforts, medical expenses, behavioral health care, and certain county public health, public safety, human services, and other related staff. Address negative economic impacts, respond to economic harms to workers, families, small businesses, impacted industries, and rehiring of public sector workers, including county staff. I don't think Des Moines County lost any staff at all that we laid off because we couldn't afford them because of.
I think Lisa was about the only one that I know of that laid hers off for a couple of weeks or a couple months.
They were laid off for the entire time that they couldn't do their jobs.
Okay.
That was our collections, when collections was pretty much kiboshed from March through September.
But I never.
They just simply could not perform their jobs.
And I never laid anybody off in our office.
But they were rehired.
They were never terminated, they were just taken to
Okay.
part-time.
This-
Because the moratorium would not allow them to establish any new collection programs. So if you wanted to start up a new collection with them, they were not allowed to do that. They could not enforce any other collections that were already in place. So we just kept them around at halftime, just basically for people who were continuing to voluntarily pay. That was really all they could do. They could not start any new accounts, they couldn't enforce old accounts on people who weren't paying. So really all they were doing was working for the handful of people that would come in and voluntarily make a payment. So we just put them to part-time, that way we always had someone in the office, but they were never actually let go.
But
They
they're
were-
full-time now?
Yep, they're back to full-time, have been since September.
Okay, and this says rehired, so. Replace public sector revenue loss, use funds to provide government services to the extent of the reduction in revenue experienced during the pandemic. Premium pay for essential workers, offer additional compensation up to $13 an hour and additional wages to those both county employees and other workers in the community who have faced and continue to face the greatest health risks due to their service. Counties should prioritize low and moderate income persons with additional written justification needed for workers above 150% of the residing state's average annual wage for all occupations, or the residing county's average annual wage, whichever is higher. So and water, sewer, and broadband infrastructure. Make necessary investments to improve access to clean drinking water, invest in wastewater and stormwater infrastructure, and provide unserved or underserved locations with new or expanded broadband access. So Mike will look at that a little more. That's might be a good idea, yeah.
I would imagine, you know, during the pandemic, people were trying to do trails and, you know, things of that nature or whatever out there, I would certainly think it would fall under that.
Some interesting statistics in the last ISAC magazine, they did a whole county conservation.
I can hear you.
They did a whole, in the last ISAC magazine, they did a whole profile on county conservation, and the statistics from the parks and county conservation facilities across the state are just staggering. On the My County Parks website, which is the statewide website for like campsite reservations for county campgrounds, the spikes in usage and reservations year over year was just, it was like, I don't know, from March to March of 19 into March of 20, the advanced registrations jumped like 96% or something like that. And for those counties that have park usage counts, the numbers were just absolutely staggering. I mean, 3-digit increases, percentage increases across the board. So yeah, and we've seen it here. I don't have the data, the numbers to put to it. 'Cause, you know, I don't have people out there counting the number of heads that are coming through. But the park usage is just absolutely astounding. I'd be curious to see, like, on our website or what the analytics were, like on our Facebook pages of the hits that have come from that with the information we were putting out regarding our parks and trails and things like that, as far as what the increase was in that. It's hard to quantify.
Well, at least my priority would be putting in stuff that's gonna help in the long term, like a public health building or maintaining that, that service, the jail reversion service, or like the broadband access out there, so. Well, anyway, so if, anybody have any comments? Basically,
Tom,
we
when
just
you-
want you to think about it.
When you're talking about the water, sewer, and the broadband, it just says that, but then it's got that little stormwater infrastructure in there. So that's why I didn't know if any of that would be addressed by secondary roads, if there's like stormwater.
There's
Because it says support vital wastewater and stormwater infrastructure.
There's general economic development and infrastructure projects such as road construction or bridge repair unrelated to COVID-19 are not an eligible expense unless funded through a county's lost revenue replacement allowance. So if secondary roads, you know, you didn't get any state road use taxes and you had to cancel a program or a project, that might fit under there. You know, this will become clear. This it's something we're gonna do in the next month anyway. And I appreciate the ideas you have, and if you have any more, feel free to speak up now, or email the board, or show up at a meeting and say, by the way, I'd like, this has come up, I think this would be an eligible expense. What do you guys, I know we talked about this a little bit, focus mostly on public health.
That's where my focus has been, on public health.
Is there a website or something that's got those stipulations on there where we can read through them?
Yeah, I'll tell you what, I've got a link to NACO's overview and Iowa counties. I will put those links in it. I think I can put those links. If I can't put those links in an email, I know Colin can. And I will send those out to everybody, so feel free to peruse those at your leisure, because like I said, this isn't something that needs to be done in the next few weeks or even months.
And the document provided by the treasurer is only 159 pages, if you want to read through that too. So.
But
Well-
it's double space.
And they said the main pages, we'd have to look at that again, that we need to concentrate on, or at the end, or in the back, or whatever.
Yeah, for
so.
like the last 20 pages or something like that.
I've got a meeting at 11, though, so
Okay.
Buzz,
Okay.
thank you.
Janelle, you never have to stick around for one of the board's meetings. You're welcome. You work harder than we do. You're welcome to get up and leave whenever it's convenient.
That's one of the questions, and I had mentioned something to her, maybe you guys didn't hear, but can you put the money that we already got, can you put that in something to get some interest? And can you spend that interest money however however you need, so like, we got $3.8 million and we got it sitting somewhere drawing interest for
While we're
2 or
trying to
3
figure
years,
out how to
can you
spend
use
it.
that
That
money
gets split 3
on
ways.
projects, or?
Shane, Tom, and Jim.
It's in a segregated account, you know, away from any other county funds, there's a way I.
Why's it gotta be segregated?
Man, I can't do this. I won't, man. Write the Treasury Department a letter, a nasty letter, I'm sure they'll respond. Anyway, so, and it's an account, you know, that's segregated from all the, I can't come up with another word.
Here we
So-
go.
I mean, separate fund.
Separate,
Foaming.
separate funds. So anyway, so any money that would be accumulated to that, and I do not know, in other words, so if they put in $100 worth of interest, I'm gonna guess it's still in the segregated, in that separate fund. I'm not doing this.
In the end, I can't do this.
I can't.
You just got back.
My guess is it'll probably be required to be put in a non-interest bearing account, so counties can't just sit and hold on
Oh,
to
that
it.
might go.
Well, or else they might require if you do gain interest, that money has to be used too, so.
Under the same rules,
Yeah.
so. I would guess probably it's not gonna be an additional source of funds for the county. I don't know that. And quite honestly, if any of you have any questions about this, email them to me and I'll submit them to Manco. Should be finding out shortly how fast they respond.
I'm sure they're probably getting tons of questions.
So, sure, I don't know how many thousands, there's 99 counties in Iowa.
They're getting
And
questions,
50
close
states.
enough don't get fed, so you gotta get some.
I'm sure there's getting some questions, but if any of you do have any questions you want me to ask, send them to me and I will forward those to NACO.
So I was just curious, because you know, if you were looking at it, doing a new public health building, if you knew, say, it was gonna cost $3 million, so you wouldn't be just basically sitting on that money, you would have it appropriated for a specific project. If you could put that money, because it's for that project, even though it's gonna have to sit till that project's done, you know, if you could put that in some sort of interest account until that money's gonna get spent.
You think like I do, but I'm
You know what I'm
guessing the
saying?
federal government isn't gonna have that, but I don't know. But yeah, I
You know,
understand,
if
if
you
you got
have
$3 million
plans-
you don't need for a while, you don't wanna just put it under the pillow.
Yeah, it's not just sitting there, it's specified for a project, but it
Yeah,
you can't draw it out until you get to the end of that, if that could work out.
And the bank's really not, probably gonna wanna pay that interest rate, or can they pay it? And I assume they can hold that much money.
Well, I'm
Sure, all that, Janelle figured all that out, I'm
yeah,
sure.
that we have to approve early each year, each fiscal year, at the end of the previous
Yeah, they're
fiscal
usually
year. Maximum bank X can hold X number of $1 million and, you know, Two Rivers and,
You've got like four or five
There's always
different.
weird stipulations on government money, you never know.
yeah. Like I said, this isn't the last discussion we'll have on that. I appreciate your ideas and, feel free to send any questions and either I will or Colin and I will send these links out to the, everybody, and you can take a look at this. Any other questions?
If there's any money left, can we buy Colin some facial hair? This kid looks like he's 14, man. That's why he's dropping him off at work every day. Come on.
That's what you wanna hear, huh, Colin?
Okay, we will.
When I get older, it sounds better and better.
We will adjourn this work session, and are you guys ready to go into a work session on HIPAA?
Yep.
Okay, let's start this one.
Let's.
Okay, ready to start talking about HIPAA?
Yeah, I think you and Colin have done most of the
Yeah,
legwork on this.
we had a Zoom meeting, or go-to meeting
Yeah, go to.
with compliancy group. because they offered one where you could go online and they would discuss their program and everything. And it's like a one-stop shopping place for their website where Karash, to find out how many people are actively doing the HIPAA training and everything else, there's like 3 different icons that I have on my desktop just to connect to Karash, where compliancy, they have what is called the Guardian, I think. Yeah, Guardian.
Like a website portal.
Yep, it's website based, and the thing is everybody has to do this. I think the training only requires what, once or twice a year?
They said it was like 1 hour of training a year. I don't know how many, like if it's like maybe 4 15 minutes or 2 half hours. I bet it's probably like 2 half hours.
Probably.
But 1 hour of training a year.
Yeah, and it just seemed really simple to use and everything. The only thing is I asked if there's possibility, just like secondary roads, if there's a possibility of doing like a group training, you know? And he said, nope, everybody actually has to do it on a laptop. It has to go through their portal site or their website to do that. And Colin said that, you know, there might be a possibility of setting up some laptops and going out there during one of your safety trainings and having some of them set them up and work with them there while your guys are in there for the safety training to do that kind of stuff. This one is not as expensive as Karash, but it is, what was that, $4,000 for the main building structure, and then it's $750 for any other outlying areas.
Somewhere
And
around 11,000, I think.
yeah, 11,500 I think is what it would be to do everything. But they are real good at helping, because we'd have to, of course, update our policies and procedures, which they have their own that they do. They would help with that, because I believe whoever is designated as the people of contacts, that we would have to do 4 1-hour trainings.
Something like that.
Yeah,
So
they
the
said
first-
you could.
The first month or so is
Yeah,
a lot of setup.
Yeah, first month is set up, and then after that, you know, you could either get all of those trainings done in 1 month, or you could space it out for 2 months, whoever is designated to do those on. It's basically the people that are going to be probably helping everybody else and setting up everything, I assume. It's just like your compliancy officer and.
What's the name of that company?
Compliancy?
Compliance.
Mhm.
Apparently they've been doing this for quite a long time.
Yeah,
maybe
'cause-
like 30 years or something like that.
Yeah, and they said they've never had any issues with anybody. Everybody passes everything. Compliancy group is actually what it's called. The ISAC one is much cheaper, but I think
You don't
one of
get
the
anything?
emails on there is they're trying to set their training up kind of like a base camp type thing, which it doesn't sound like everything is. I know there's a lot of counties out there that have gone with ISAC. It's more of your bare bones type training and everything, where this one, they have all kinds of people in the background helping you with everything.
I reached out to my ICIT group and asked some of the folks, you know, what do you do for those that are on ISAC specifically to keep in compliance? And the response I got was typically whatever my county attorney tells me, which is about this much.
Fortunately, we don't have that problem.
So, I mean, some of that is, yeah, you've got your, I think it's kind of a bare bones type HIPAA program.
So how often would the training be?
For which one?
You said there's 4 trainings in this compliance.
Oh, this is
Oh,
for the compliancy officer and the, what's the other one?
It'd be like for
Security
Colin, you'd be the
officer.
compliance officer.
The security officer, and then typically Terry would be like the compliance officer.
Well, you pull all the stuff now for cars when they want it, and they're supposed to be doing that, but you pull it anyway.
They give me forms and a bunch of other stuff that I have to fill out, all this stuff each
Yeah.
year and then send it to all of them. One thing that kind of seemed nice about the compliancy group stuff is everything that they have you like fill out, set up and everything is all in that portal and that website, and you can easily, you know, reference that anytime there's any questions or anything, so that kind of seems.
And how much was the garage?
It would be going up to about
19,000.
19,000. And I know there's a lot of people that haven't been real happy, especially going online and doing the training, and then it doesn't credit you and everything else, so.
So what do they offer more than the compliancy group for that difference?
They are the chief safety, and you don't have, they are the officers of
What sold
the
as?
compliance group. Colin and Terry would be like the chief compliance officer. And
But it sounds like Colin
That's
helps
pretty much
them.
our.
But I thought with the other group, though, we were still kind of on our own, even with the support.
Well, I think that's the way it worked out. I don't know that that was the way it was explained to us. Is that fair?
Mhm. Yeah, because they were supposed to be our compliancy officer and
There's two officers, I don't
yeah,
remember what they are.
there's two of them. And, but they're always sending us information that we can go train ourselves. We can go to these POOF trainings and we can become our own compliancy officers and everything else, but I don't know.
Well,
Trouble I have with Krosh, I've gotta be honest about it. He doesn't follow through. He was gonna have a thing out for the county. And I was gonna go there too, so I can get all updated. So I tried to get my updating at home. And I was having trouble getting on, so I called this number. Well, this number I called, somebody answered the phone that we specifically said we did not want dealing with them on the county. And who was it? I called 3 times. And all 3 times that I've called, this person has answered, and I'm not happy with them. So,
We've heard a lot
Sorry
of
about
complaints
that.
over the last
No.
2-3 years that people that would go online and take training, you know, you'd think you finished the training and typically it would save it, then when you'd go back, it hadn't saved it and they'd always have an excuse, well, it's something we can fix, but all you have to do is do this and this and slide that under that and then it saves it. Well, I don't think it ever got any better. And they did say that they'd have somebody go out to secondary roads. I remember them saying that. They didn't do that.
But after looking at his little demo thing, it was just nice seeing that everything was on that same website. Because you'd have administrators and all of that, and the administrator would be able to get on there and see everything instead of going to these different locations, so.
That's all for
It looked
14.5?
pretty slick, anyway.
It was about 11,500.
11,500.
Somewhere.
And who's 19?
Correct, they're going up to that.
how do you feel about being a security officer? If we go
Yeah,
go
I'm
with
thinking the same thing you are.
It's
Yeah.
fine.
I'm doing the same
Doing the
thing.
role anyway,
Yeah.
so I don't think it's a big deal.
And you?
If I don't do it, I'll find somebody in the office that can.
I felt eye contact there.
How do you feel about that, Sarah?
She was looking at you, Chris.
Great, I feel great.
Oh, no, I was looking at Becky.
I think so.
I vote Brian.
He's not here,
Kevin can tell you what happens if you miss a meeting.
You become the chairperson.
Well, I think the board, if you guys looked at this, you're more comfortable. I'm always in favor, none of the other guys are in favor of saving $7,000 or $8,000.
Right on.
And if you think this will work better, why don't you, I assume what you have to do is
Well,
sign the contract, and you bring the contract, put that on the agenda and get it signed by the board. And
Rosh's contract
And-
comes up at the end of June, doesn't it?
Yeah,
yeah.
and then we can probably write a letter
Yeah.
to them, so. so.
Yeah.
So if that's what you wanna do, I can get a hold of this Lance, that Solby, that's been our contact through compliancy groups, and
Anybody have a problem with that?
And start
is
them.
everybody ready to try something different?
How long is the contract commitment? Just curious.
That part I'll have to check, see how long it is,
I imagine it's probably a year.
probably.
Yeah, and
Most of them are yearly.
if ISAC comes up with some training in 3 or 4 years, that something's better, you can always say, we'll look at that.
Mhm.
No, I think that's I don't hear anybody complaining, so that's good. No further comments, we will proceed with that and adjourn this work session.
Okay.
Thank you, everybody.
You all have a great afternoon, and Chris, don't forget about working on the weather
Yeah.
for Thursday afternoon.
I go
Yeah.
make that